What is going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders. I am very grateful to have your attention, at least for the next 15 minutes of this episode. Forward Thinking Founders is a podcast where I interview pre-seed and seed stage founders about their products, what they want to build into the world, and why. We dive into how they spend their time, what's their vision, what's their origin stories, all these things, so you can learn all about what's coming tomorrow. Because these companies haven't hit critical scale yet. Most of them haven't hit product market fit. These are just early stage companies, and the big question is, what can this be? And in this podcast, we bring that out. So with that, I really hope you enjoy your time listening to today's episode. And I've already done 200 plus, so if you like this one, listen to some of the other ones, like with ElevateU, Austin Allred, Leah Culver. We have great interviews, so check it out, enjoy the repository, and for now, let's get into today's episode. Here we go. All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders. We talk to founders about their companies, their visions for the future, and how the two collide. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to Michael Houston, who's the founder of ElevateU. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going well, Matt. Thanks so much for having me. I mean, right now I'm working out of my home office here in Arizona. It's 70 degrees in the winter. So, I mean, being that I'm originally from the Midwest, I just can't complain.
Yeah, this weather is fantastic. If you're listening to this and you're anywhere but Arizona, you're probably jealous of us right now, but that's the benefit of living in Arizona, specifically Tempe. But today we're not here talking about Arizona. We're here talking about what you are working on with your company, ElevateU. For people that haven't heard of you or your company yet, what are you working on? What is ElevateU?
Yeah, so ElevateU is replacing boring and static learning material and especially textbooks with engaging learning experiences. So really, we make it easy for any professor, educator, or even big companies to take their existing material and content and connect it to curriculum and a data-driven learning platform. And right now we're focused on higher education before launching into K-12. And I mean, really a big part of why we've been looking at this space is because just EdTech right now is a mess with the massive, behemoth, archaic textbook publishers that are just failing to innovate, staying stagnant. And then, I mean, you also have some cool EdTech startups, but they're just propagating the current issues in education. And we've been really seeing some ways in which we can flip the whole model and whole system.
So walk me through a little bit about kind of how ElevateU works. Or if I was a customer or an end user of ElevateU, what would I be experiencing?
Yeah, so really we start with the professor, and either they can start 100% from scratch or they can use existing content that we have from some of our many authors or private partners. So really what they can do is upload all of their 30 plus years of expert material that's been locked away and only available for their students for so long. And after uploading literally any format, file type, that then goes into our platform and we connect it to curriculum, add in a bunch of activities, and really make a all-in-one consolidated learning place for students to go engage with the material. And then we use data to see how the students are doing and improve and iterate upon that as it goes further on.
Tell me about the origin story here. Why did you decide to start ElevateU?
Yeah, so really, I decided to start ElevateU, and I guess my education experience is kind of a unique one. I actually finished my college degree before I got my high school diploma, or at least my associate's degree, I should say. And not because I'm smart or anything, but I just really disliked the way that the education system was set up. I thought I'd rather be out there actually creating value in the world, making innovations, changing things, than just going through this static process. And following that, I started first my first company, digital media, social media marketing, advertising. And then I went out to Arizona State University and I took a couple classes out there wanting to learn more, knowing they're big into entrepreneurship. And then further on, I started actually teaching as an academic associate at ASU in innovation, entrepreneurship, and value creation. And that's really when I saw that, hey, yeah, this is a big problem for students, but even on the administration and the faculty side of things, there's so much of a disconnect and a bridge that needs to get filled. And that really is why I got into it. And really wanted to take advantage of everything, at least that I saw from my perspective.
And as you've been going down the founder journey of building this company, what have been some learnings that you've had? It could be about product or marketing or raising capital. What have you learned so far?
I've learned so much. It's funny. We're trying to be the learning company and a $1 trillion learning market. Yet I am learning something new myself every single day. So I'd say really the biggest piece of advice that I give founders is first. Don't outsource any core competencies of your business. I made the mistake of hiring some developers who weren't on my team, and that really set me back a couple months and definitely burned through a little bit of cash when really you need to have, especially if you're a software company, actual talented engineers on your team that are flexible and agile enough to iterate as you talk with your users and engage with them and just go through the process of entrepreneurship so that it's not just build it and then they'll come. It's you have to iterate and actually build what the market needs. And you gain a lot of insight through customer interviews. And really, I guess what sort of goes into the rest of that is meet with other CEOs in either your space or who are at a similar level to you. So you're going to get a good insight of how the market is, some of the struggles and growing pains that they went through in particular. And that's going to help give you a little bit more of an edge than, say, they had when they were starting out.
And then if you were to look out into the future, 5, 10, 15 years, what do you see as the big vision for ElevateU? What direction are you rowing in?
Yeah, so I see the landscape in education changing really a lot. And I mean, although we're starting in textbooks, we're replacing textbooks. We have a really big vision that if done properly, we see it as the way that the big companies, I'm talking about the Amazons, the Googles, can then take what is already a massive company for them and do what they've been trying to do and do that pain point for all of them, which is double a massive company by getting into education. So we don't necessarily think that we're going to have students being the payer for a lot of this knowledge and for a lot of the learning experiences that we're creating, but rather these big companies who are trying to basically train the next future workforce that are coming in for them and really just flip the entire system on its head, whether that be changing exactly how the structure is when it comes to university setting or what the process looks like going from university into that job market.
And in order to do that, you need some help, right? It takes a village to make a startup work and scale. So my question for you is, how can the forward-thinking founders community help? Are you hiring, raising money, looking for students, teachers, schools? How can we assist?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone really, so from my perspective, everybody knows at least a professor, a teacher, someone in education, and we're always looking to hear from those constituents and see how we can further improve our product, as well as really once someone takes a look at our product, at least a professor, hooked right away and it just clicks, it makes sense. So definitely send the educators our way. But on top of that, yes, I'm currently fundraising, but at the end of the day, I also want to extend out and say, hey, if anybody needs help, they can also come to me. Because I mean, like I said, I used to help teach this thing a whole lot. I've been through lots and lots of pains as I've been growing my startup. So I really just like giving back to the community and helping as much as possible. So really excited to be here and see if anybody needs anything.
So if someone needs something or someone wants to get involved with you,
Absolutely.
try it out, send someone your way, how can they find you online? Do you have a website, social media account, email address? How can they kind of learn more about ElevateU?
Yeah, so our two main sites right now are aptextbook.com as well as ElevateU.ai. And me personally, I'm a big LinkedIn fan. I love it and use it all the time, but I know so many folks in my circle have been trying to get me onto Twitter, and I know I have to get on Twitter soon, so perhaps this will be a great springboard to really get me there and kick me off.
If Michael ends up getting on Twitter after this episode and 1,000 of you aren't following him, I'll be extremely upset. All right, Michael, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I think what you're building is great. And thanks again for coming on. Have a good day.
Thank you, Matt.